Hey everybody, First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. I'm just going to jump right into it with the latest advisory. 11 a.m. just came out. Winds are 85 miles per hour, but obviously we're worried about the landfalling location of this. So we look at the track here, and the biggest change is that the system is slowing down. And the other big change is that we're seeing a pretty significant strengthening trend in the long range. We told you yesterday that I could see category 4, and we certainly have that possibility with rapid intensification. So Sunday morning could be in the northern Bahamas at the category 4, and then sometime Monday, I think midday, is probably when it'll make landfall as a category 4 or 3, and then move inland by Tuesday morning. Notice the slowing trend, 24 hours to go from offshore to over central Florida. So this is why in the Carolinas, if you have holiday plans for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, as long as you're coming back Monday night, you're going to have no issues at all right now, but you need to pay attention to this because we got to watch that this thing doesn't take a turn like this up in here. So we're still in the pay attention zone, but this slower timing means the holiday weekend doesn't mean there isn't going to be impacts in the Carolinas. Let me definitely tell you that. It just means it's not going to happen this weekend. It would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'll show you in a minute why any impacts in the Carolinas will probably be next week. So 3-day weekend, 4-day weekend, as long as you're back by Monday, you're going to be fine. Still got to, keep an eye on the eastern Gulf of Mexico. But that threat is diminishing, which I'll show you here in a minute as well. Let's talk about the satellite imagery first, because very impressive satellite this morning. We've got the concentric eye walls, which means there's multiple eye walls. And if you know anything about tropical meteorology or follow me for the first time, concentric eye walls are a process that a bigger eye wall forms. It shrinks down. The storm gets strong. That storm actually shrinks into nothing, and another eye wall forms. This cycle of going up and down is really what drives really powerful hurricanes, and timing those out is really difficult. That's why intensity forecasting of very strong hurricanes is tough. So we know it's going to be a powerful hurricane, but there will be ebbs and flows. These storms don't maintain monster categories for long periods of time. They go up and down as they develop. So let's look at the water vapor loop, because I love seeing this to show you the steering currents. So here's our system right now. You can see the trough over the southeastern U.S. Beautiful couple of days here in the Carolinas. Unbelievable weather. Low humidity. It just feels great out there. So enjoy it while you can. Our system's being tugged a little bit by this upper low. If you see right here, it's spinning like this. So it's actually pushing this outflow jet this way. But there's a ridge over here that's going to start pushing it to the west. And this ridge, again, I told you yesterday, you're going to hear us talk about that ridge obsessively, is the main driving mechanism for this system. How strong is it? How far west does it get? This is all going to dictate where this thing eventually goes. And I'm going to show you spaghetti plots real quickly, because I threw them all on here just so you can see the long range. And everybody in the Carolinas goes, oh, it's heading our way. It's heading our way. Relax for a second, okay? This time frame is like next weekend, okay? If it's over land for 4 or 5 days, there's nothing left of it. Now, if it hugs the coast and stays near water, it becomes more of an issue, but the Western Carolinas would see almost nothing. So notice how the Western Carolinas are pretty much not even in the outliers. So from Charlotte west, the concern level is like a 1 on a scale from 0 to 10. I'd almost say it's like 0.5. On the coast, your level of, anxiety, I guess, is like a 2 or 3 right now. And the concern there is if this stays offshore and recurves here. But notice, people always get caught up in the spread in this. There is a huge consensus of landfall right there. Where things get squirrely is after it makes landfall, does it do this, or does it do this, or does it go down the middle? So if you're looking about uncertainty, it's not so much up to landfall, it's like post-landfall. Now, outside chance it never makes it to land, and maybe it gets real close, slows down here, and does one of these, that's a possibility. But that, honestly, for this long range, 4 days out, that's pretty good consensus, folks, for where the system is going. It's after that we start to wonder, okay, where's it going to go? Well, let's talk about the steering currents, that ridge of high pressure. So here's the European model, which has done very well, and it's in the long range. I trust it a little bit more than some of the other guidance. It's done extremely well. The UK Met, by the way, is the most accurate model so far with this storm for track. So you see the ridge. It's this big red area, and I'll draw it on here. This is the ridge. Notice how it goes all the way back to Tennessee. So that it has to go this way. This can't go north, okay? But keep an eye on that ridge. What does it do? Well, it builds west on Saturday. builds west Saturday, Sunday. We start getting to Sunday night. Ooh, something's happening Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. Ooh, here's Sunday night. A weakness develops right here. The ridge is here, but notice it's not quite as strong. So if the storm is close to the coast, this is why you see it slowing down, because this thing isn't pushing it. This thing's too far away, and this thing's too far away. So this is kind of like no man's land. It's like in between steering currents for a while. That's what the steering currents are showing. It's slowing down and then trying to drift north because now there's a weakness. But the thing about really strong hurricanes that I've known through experience is strong hurricanes don't get as influenced as easily by their environment. Weak little systems are much easier to push on. They're like, I always say, it's like the difference between a giant ship and a little speedboat. Speedboats can maneuver really quickly. Giant ships tend to steer, they're lumbering, they tend to steer really slowly. It takes a lot. It takes tugboats to push them, right? If you've ever been on a cruise, you know how that goes. So it takes something to turn it. And what I think is going to eventually turn it is this ridge starts building back to the west. Notice it starts building behind it and starts pushing it to the north. And then we get a little dip in the jet stream, which then brings it north. So those are signs that it's going to start going north. Notice the time frame up at the top here. This is Tuesday night. So this is really slow. This is Wednesday morning. It's still over Florida. This is Wednesday afternoon. So this is just based on the European. And then you see it moving to the north and east near the shore and then pushing off. So what does that mean for the Carolinas? Well, if we're going to see an impact here, it's likely going to happen the middle and end of the week and not this weekend. And if it's onshore, it's probably a big rain event, some surge. To the west, not much of anything. If it stays offshore, I think storm surge and coastal flooding could become a big issue with this. And just to kind of show you, this is the 7-day rainfall forecast from the Weather Prediction Center right now. So 7 days. This goes through next Thursday morning. Notice that there is almost no rain over us. Almost no rain over Georgia, Midlands, and South Carolina. All of it down here. Now, that could change. If this thing starts drifting north, you're going to see the rain start to follow it up here. And just to kind of give you an idea of that, I think I pulled this up earlier. This is the European rainfall based on the forecast I just showed you. So I'll show you the rain. You can actually see the storm. You see it down there? Right there next to my head, moving through the Bahamas. Watch as it moves through Central Florida. And I'll stop this here. This is Tuesday night. So time frame wise, slow, folks. Not this weekend. Really? This is coming up towards the Carolinas during the week next week. So moves up. This is Thursday morning. This is Friday morning. And this is Friday night. Next Friday night. Not this Friday night, by the way. Friday, September 7th. You see all the rain here, but look at that sharp cutoff. So the Western Carolina is almost nothing. But this is based on this track. This track does this or goes like this. That's where the question marks. And, you know, we're talking 7 to 8 days now. So I don't want you to get caught up in the specifics of this far out because it's, you know, this far out. So just something to keep in mind on long range. But right now, if I was in Florida, this is the area I'm most concerned about. And just to show you, I'm going to pull my other map over here. I overlaid the forecast track. Let me turn the temperatures off. We know it's warm down there. This is the forecast advisory, which just came in from the Hurricane Center. Those red dots are the consensus tracks. So they're pretty close. They're right on, right in there. Now, don't get caught up in that specific spot because this storm is going to grow in size. Right now, you can see how big the storm is right here. I expect it to double in size, maybe 2.5 times bigger. So when it approaches the coast of Florida, it's going to be something more like this size. And so if the point goes here, there's impacts up here, there's going to be impacts here, but the impacts will spread way up the coast. And even in the Carolinas, it's going to be a king tide this weekend. So all that water being pushed up here, there will be coastal flooding here, even far away from the storm. In fact, tides could run high all the way up into the Outer Banks and in eastern North Carolina. So for all our coastal friends and all my viewers and followers out there, you're going to see some coastal flooding because of the surge, even with the storm way down here in Florida. And again, today it's just Thursday the 29th. We've got a long ways to go. So the biggest changes I can tell you, the system is getting stronger, much stronger. It's slowing down, and at some point, it's going to make a churn over Florida. The question is, where does that churn happen? And with the slow movement, you know what that means. Could be a big rainmaker for some parts of the southeast. Of course, I'll be monitoring it throughout the day and give you updates as they come in.